different techniques you can use over a 12-bar blues. This is in C dominant blues. So you got C7, F7, and G7. So the one chord you're gonna play for 4 beats or 4 measures. C7. F7, C7, G, F, C, G7. So pretty much those are 3 note voicings. You have the root, which is C, over the C7, the flat 7, and the 3. Those two. There's 4 notes in a C7, C, E, G, and B flat. The 2 most important are the major third and the flat 7. The third and the 7 dictate what kind of chord a 7th chord is. So the root and the 5th don't mean anything. If you just play these notes, this is kind of either the bass player's playing it, or these 2 represent that bottom note. You see Stevie Ray and John Mayer a lot of times just playing those 2. Next one, F7. So the chords are at the bottom of the screen. C7, 8, skip a string, 8, blocking off the 5th, and 9 with the 3rd finger. Same chord as this, but seems to not have enough tension to it or something. It sounds too majorish, and I don't want it. You don't want it to sound major. Barely a difference. You could add that and make the difference, but really, and plus you're playing less notes. You can go faster. Anyways, next chord, F7, 8, 7, 8. It's like a triangle. C7, back to the C7, whatever. The G is the same as the F. Same shape, 10, 9, 10. G, B, F. F, A, C. C, B flat, E. For the last G7, you can add the sharp 9, the Jimi Hendrix chord. Probably sound a little better, give you a little bit more tension going back to the 1 chord. Alright, so those are pretty much the standard chords. The next thing to go over, I always like to know where the drop 2s are for these dominant chords, because you can come up with some interesting rhythm or even lead chord progressions or patterns, you know, because this can get boring. Those, I'm gonna start down here for all of them up. E, B flat, C, G. G, I guess you'd call this a first inversion. This would be your second inversion, third inversion, root position. And those are on the screen. You can fit a couple more. That's the same as this. You could always add 12 to anything and have it here. Those are all the the C's. Then you have F7. That's third inversion. Root. First. Second. Can fit a couple more. You always want choices. Then the G7s. Everything's always going to be, you know, the guitar's symmetrical. The shapes are going to equal out depending where the root is or what inversion you're playing. So this F7, if you move it up, this F7, if you move it up to G7, or move it up a whole step, you get G7. F7, G7, F7, G7, always the same shape. So the G7s, that's going to be your third inversion. Nope. Yes, third inversion. What am I missing? Sorry. Third inversion, root position. First inversion, second inversion. Yes. So anyways, if you do with the play along, you could do something where you're voice leading and doing it as close as you can down here, or going up and down with different chords, trying to be a little bit more creative. So a couple examples. Start at the beginning here. Mix them up, going up and down. You know. Get the idea. You have the freedom to play whatever you want. So those are on the screen. I'd practice them. If you take the first one and go right to left, I'm sorry, left to right, you have the voice leading. If you go down for each one and play, you know, each for every chord, that's a different way of practicing it. Both are going to be very beneficial. Next thing, getting towards soloing, and those have a lot to do with soloing too, because you can see the chord tones everywhere on those first four strings, which I think is most important. Let's see, scales first. Over the C7 chord, you can play, there's a ton of stuff you can play, but I'm just going to go over a couple for each chord. Over the 1 chord, playing major pentatonic. When you get to the 4 chord, whatever the 1 chord is, you can go to that minor and it'll work out for you. Or actually, let me back up. The first thing on C7, playing major pentatonic. Other thing you can play is minor or major blues scale, which would be, let me play the major pentatonic first. That's on your screen, but then adding one note to the major pentatonic, getting a major blues scale. A little bit more slippery there. You could play minor pentatonic over it. There's nothing wrong with that. Getting to the 4 chord. Say you were concentrating on playing the major pentatonic on the 1. The 4 chord, you'd want to play C minor pentatonic. Back to major. So once again, major pentatonic or major blues over 1. Four chord. Back to major. I'm kind of mixing them, but that'll come in time. The other thing you can do on that 4 chord is play C minor blues scale, which is just adding one note. This note. So 1 chord. 4. Now the 5 chord, you could play whatever you want, really. But one thing you can do is kind of chase that chord with the minor G minor pentatonic. Well, that was blues scales, just one note difference, but the blues scale, G minor over the G7 5 chord. Stevie had some lick he did where he added that note to it, and that comes from the chasing that chord. When I mean chasing, is playing over the chord instead of playing more in the C kind of overall tone of the song, but playing over that certain chord, the G. But I think Stevie used this a lot on the 5 chord. So anyways, not to get too far off, a good thing to practice over some backing tracks is doing the major pentatonic first, C minor on C major pentatonic on the 1, C minor pentatonic on the 4 chord F, and then G minor pentatonic on the 5 G7. You can always add the blues scale with it. Next thing, one more. Knowing the arpeggio around those chords in one position, it's good to be able to, you want to be able to start or land any of your licks on chord tones to make them sound the best. So I have a few written out here. The C7 arpeggio. you have your pentatonic, if you can see this, you can always land or start on a, you know, F7. How did I do that? You can hear that resolution just by going to C7 because you're hitting a chord tone. Anyways, with that F7 one more time. Oop. G7, same shape. But I also have written out, if you add the minor third to the dominant arpeggio, you get a lot more of like a bluesy, bop, jazzy kind of. Sorry, what am I doing here? Where you're hitting the minor third right before the major third. When you go back down with it, let's see, where am I at? Up. You're going down, but I'd play the minor third, which is below first. One more time backwards because I didn't play all the notes there. Let's see. I keep wanting to go do the sixth. I think I watched some video. The guy called it the soul scale. That would be minor third, adding the minor third, and playing the sixth. Anyways, so I have those written down too. Just a couple different things you can work on.